Hey everyone, it's Marie. Welcome back to my channel. I am featuring Kindred Stamps on my channel this week. I'm using this Happy Accidents stamp set from Kindred Stamps. Absolutely love it. I'm loading my character and a few of the images here onto my cardstock in my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp it out. Now I'm using Craft Perfect cardstock. This is their Ultra Smooth White, and I'm using this because I'm going to go ahead and do some alcohol marker coloring. And this smooth cardstock is really great for alcohol markers because you can get a really nice blend. I'm using my Brutus Monroe detail ink. This is nice black and it is permanent once it is heat set. I love that because it takes the guesswork out of which ink to use with your stamps or which medium you're using. It is permanent with alcohol markers, zigs, watercolors, whatever you're using. So it really makes it easy to just grab the one black ink and do whatever you want to do with it. So I did make sure to go ahead and heat set it. I stamped these images out about 2 or 3 times. So that's going to leave a lot of ink on the surface, and I really want it to be dry so I don't get any smearing. So if you really want to be sure that your images do not smear when you're coloring, go ahead and blast it for a few minutes, or not minutes, you don't want to set your paper on fire, a few seconds with your heat tool, and that will ensure that it is dry, it's in place, it's permanent, you're not going to get any smearing. So I'm using my Stylefile alcohol markers here to color out our little character, and these images are so fun. They're so detailed, but they're a little tiny in some areas. So a lot of the times when I'm doing a really small image and I'm coloring it, I'm not worried too much about doing some fantastic shading. I'm just doing some basic colors, doing a little bit of a darker color in areas where there might be a little bit of shading, and then blending it out. I think a lot of the charm is in the image itself without me doing a ton of coloring to it. But it is really fun to color. So like I mentioned, I'm using my Stylefiles. These are sort of a cheaper alternative to other brands of markers. They work well for me, but I am kind of looking into other markers. I want to expand my collection because I find that I'm reaching for the same colors all the time. So a lot of my coloring has the same sort of color palette, and I want to expand and just broaden my color options. So I'm just going to go ahead and color this guy out. Like I said, I did hit it with my heat tool, so the lines should be dry, but I'm being very careful around the eyes. The last few times I've colored out some of my images, even after I hit it with my heat tool, the eyes must not have been completely dry, and then they would smear, and my characters would look like they have black eyes, and I wanted to avoid that. So I was really careful to color around the eyes and just do some simple shading here with my colors. Now for the skin tone, I'm using a pastel peach, and then I'm using a rose beige for the shadow, which is actually a pinkish brown, and I find that those two colors work really well for this lighter skin tone. I do want to get some more markers, like I said, for other skin tones because I don't have any other markers to do much for other combinations, so I'm looking into that. And then I'm using a little bit of gray here on the bottom of these clouds, and that's just because I want them to appear white, but if you leave your images just completely white, they look a little unfinished. If you add a little bit of a gray shadow, it kind of makes you think, yeah, it makes you think they look whiter than they are if you add a little bit of a shadow. So anything that's supposed to be white on my coloring, my images, I add a little bit of a gray shadow, and really that's like my gray, my 0. I don't know all the numbers, but it's the lightest gray that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and color his hair here, and I'm using a dark brown. I'm going to color the whole thing in. I'm not worried about adding any shading, any highlights. His hair was a little interesting to color because having this big sort of afro style, I didn't know where to put shading or anything, so I'm just covering the whole hair, all of it, not doing any flicking motions to make it look like strands of hair or anything. I'm just completely covering it in brown, and then I'm going to go back with this same brown color and add a little circles here and there, and it's going to make it look curly. So I've slowed down this little piece of footage here so you can kind of see I'm adding in these little wispy circles, squiggles, scribbles, whatever you call it, and it's going to make it look like he's got curly hair, and it kind of hides all of my marker lines as well, and it ended up looking a lot better than if I had tried to go ahead and do some crazy blending and shading for highlights and strands of hair and all those things. So there's a lot of different ways you can color hair and color your images, get some more texture in there by adding lines and dots and things with your markers. So just have fun and experiment. This is about the third time I've colored this character, so I kind of knew the colors that I was going for and how I wanted him to look. So sometimes you can go ahead and color your images several times and practice until you get it the way you want it. So I have all my characters colored. I have them cut out, fussy cut them with a little scissors. I'm going to move ahead with my card. I'm using my Bristol Smooth, and I'm going to cut out a little square out of this stitched square die, and I'm making a little canvas for our painter here. I thought this was really cute to kind of make a little scene on a tiny piece of canvas and add it to my card. So what I'm doing is I'm using my zigs. Now this is why I wanted my Bristol Smooth cardstock. Zigs work amazing on this cardstock. When I first got this cardstock, I was amazed how well the zigs worked, because I have tried my zigs on watercolor cardstock. I've tried it on just plain white cardstock, and I couldn't get the colors to move the way I wanted them to. So I thought maybe I was a defective artist. I wasn't doing something right. But when I tried the Bristol Smooth, it was like night and day. So I would really recommend Bristol Smooth with your zigs. It's the best cardstock I have found to work with them. The colors work so well. If you add a little bit of water with it and blend it out, get that color moving. You don't want to add too much because it's not a watercolor cardstock, but it can stand up to a little bit of water. So I am blending it out, getting that color to move with my water brushes there, and I'm just adding really simple colors here. A little bit of green, a few mountains, a little blue for the sky. You don't have to add much pigment with these zigs. They're very concentrated. A little bit goes a long way. So I've learned add a little bit where I want it to be darkest and then just blend it out. And I'm not doing anything crazy here with my little scene. I want it to look like it's a painting. I want it to look like it's kind of unfinished, like our character is working on it. And so I just went really simple, but I think it's really cute. I think a little canvas on a card is really cute. That's just me. Anyway, so that's my canvas, all done. Like I said, super simple, and I think it's super cute. So we're going to add that to our card now. I'll show you how I kind of created legs for that, for my easel, in a minute. But first, I'm going to stamp out my sentiment. So I'm using one of the sentiments from the stamp set, Happy Accidents, and I'm loading it in my mini MISTI. I'm going to stamp it out with VersaFine black ink. Yeah, it's VersaFine. I get VersaFine and Versamark always mixed up. I just throw out whatever word is on my brain at the moment, but this is the VersaFine. I've also found that I really love my mini MISTI. I have the bigger size too, but my mini MISTI I just reach for more often. It's smaller, it takes up less room, and when I'm stamping these little images to cut out, I really don't need my huge MISTI. Now my huge MISTI is good for other things, but I really love my mini MISTI. Now that I was talking, I totally missed showing you how I cut out the legs for my easel. I just have a die that came with my Spellbinders Glimmer kit last month, and I use that to cut out these little sticks from craft paper, cut them in half, and I'm going to glue them to the back of my easel and make it look like it has 3 legs so it can stand up. I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe glue, and that way it will give me a little bit of wiggle room so that I can adjust the legs to just the right height that I want before it's completely dry. So there is that cute little easel with the little canvas on it. Like I said, I think it's stinking cute. I'm going to add that to the card. And then this is going to be a really clean and simple card, but I kind of really love that style. I love how our little character and the easel is really the focal point, and all the white space in the background. I just think it's lovely. Anyway, so I'm going to add these happy little clouds to the sky as well. One is popped up on a piece of foam adhesive. The other one I'm just going to glue down in the background. And it doesn't bother me at all that these characters are kind of popping off the canvas and hanging off the edge, because it just adds to the humor of this card. So these little foam squares are Craft Perfect foam squares. I find that they're really nice for these little images. I just load up the back with these little squares and then pop it on my card. That's pretty much going to finish the card today. I am going to mount this card front onto a card base. So my card front is cut down to slightly smaller than an A2 size card, so that I get a little bit of a white border around it when I add it to my card base. Now you could pop this front panel up on foam adhesive. I chose not to and just kept it really simple, but I really like the way this card turned out. So thanks so much for watching. This pretty much finishes the card. I'm going to try to do a few more cards with Kindred Stamps on my channel this week. Let me know if you're enjoying this, if you like seeing different stamp sets done in different ways, or if you have any suggestions of something else that you would like to see, just let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks so much for stopping by, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, tap the bell for notifications, and just do all those things. There's our finished card, and I will catch you guys next time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.